Hi everyone, this is Greg Monty. I'm the director of the Energy Research Center here at North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro, and I'm involved in quite a bit of STEM education and outreach to the school systems surrounding NCA&T, particularly Guilford Community or Guilford County School System. We submitted an NSF research grant a while back, and it got funded. And it started on January 1st of this year, 2018, and ends at the end of 2019. And it's directed towards grades 4 through 12, and that's the age group that you all fall into. So what we're trying to study is the impact of career exposure on students' interest in STEM and whether that career exposure affects the STEM pathways that all of you students might be taking all the way to the workforce. So our research team believes that staying in STEM pathways will lead to fun, rewarding, stimulating, and of course high-paying careers for you. So what this video is all about is the process that we have to use to do consent, assent, and pre-surveys to study the science around this. National Science Foundation is very interested in the science. We have to prove that career exposure does have an impact on you, and our research team's goal is to make that happen. And what we have chosen to do is to use pre and post surveys before events such as this summer camp or other activities, STEM activities. So we've chosen a survey that comes out of the North Carolina State University Friday Institute down in Raleigh, and it has already been proven to be a valid tool for assessing STEM affinity or your natural liking for STEM, if you would. And for the research to be successful that we're leading, we need the help of you, the students. So we're begging you to participate in this by doing a pre-survey before participating in your camp or other STEM activity, and then we'll ask you to complete a post-survey near the end of the camp or activity to sort of measure from the beginning to end what the impact might be on you. So before we begin the research, we have to go through a process which is required by law effectively to get consent forms from your parents or guardians, and what they call Assent forms, or their consent forms for you, the students, and then finally to do the pre-surveys and the post-surveys. So I just want to promise you that none of your personal identity will ever be shared with anyone. You're going to be using a student ID number to enter into the surveys, so there won't be any link on the survey data to link yourselves to your student ID. The student ID is sort of an anonymous number that you use within your school system. So that should be a 9 to 12 digit number. I don't think it has any letters at least for Guilford County school system. If you're from another school system around Greensboro, then hopefully you have a student ID as well that was assigned to you in school. And that's the ID we'd like you to use. So just finally to repeat, we're not going to share any of your personal information with anyone. It'll be completely kept anonymous and protected. So I want to walk you through doing a couple of things today. One is the Assent form, and then do the pre-survey. And then after that's done, which will take about 20 to 25 minutes, we'll ask you to take the last step and go home and talk with your parents or guardians and get them to sign a consent form, preferably online as well, because it's very simple. And then you'll be able to do that as long as you have an internet connection somewhere, either at home or at a local store like Starbucks or McDonald's or the local library with your parent or guardian. So the lead director of the camp may choose to make this a do-at-home assignment. So some of you might be looking at this video now and doing this at home. To perform that, probably the easiest way is to play this video on one device, like a computer, and then complete the consent forms, assent forms, and the pre-surveys on a phone or another tablet or another computer while you watch this video and follow along. If you're doing this in the STEM camp with the leader or director right now, then you're watching a video while performing the tasks that I ask you to do on your Amazon tablets. So you have an Amazon tablet that looks something like this, And what you'll want to do if it's dark right now is to press the button on the top right of the device. That will turn on the device, and at the bottom you may see a lock, and you have to slide that upwards to sort of turn on the screen. So it's a slide up from the bottom for the unlocking function. So what we have done is we've set up your tablets already to be at the EMERGEinSTEM.org/resources page, and you'll be seeing in front of you the same thing you see on the screen now in front of me. This is the EMERGEinSTEM resources page for EMERGEinSTEM forms, and what we're going to do is we're going to first look at this student Assent form. So I'm going to click on student Assent form, and you should do the same. This will bring up the EMERGEinSTEM Assent or consent for students, and this wording in here, you're free to read that before you put your name and student ID on here. It's essentially what I just told you over this video. So then once you're ready, put your student name in here, place your student ID number in here. This is the same number you'll use in the pre-survey and in the post-survey, and then say yes or no as to agreeing to be in the study. I still can't use your data from the pre-survey until your consent form from your parent or guardian comes back, but we will delete that data if we don't ever receive a consent form. So fill that out and then click the button on the lower right, the arrow, and that will submit your data to the database. And that's all you have to do an Assent form. It shouldn't take more than a minute or two. The next thing we want to do is to actually go in and do the pre-survey. So we're doing the student pre-survey that has the statement before participation in a STEM camp or activity afterwards. So that's what we're doing. You're in a STEM camp or STEM activity, and we're going to do this survey. So let's click on the student pre-survey, and in the beginning it'll give you some directions on what you need to do. You're going to be filling out this form. This one says I like engineering, and then you get to state whether you strongly disagree to strongly agree, and there's 5 different grade levels of that answer. So you get to answer the question as you feel fit, and click on the circle as you go through. So I'm going to click neither agree or disagree in this case. And even though some of the statements are very similar, try to answer all of them. This is not timed. It will take you maybe 10 or 15 minutes to complete this. There are no right or wrong answers. It's an answer whatever makes sense to you. And please fill out just one answer per question. So I want you to start by putting your student ID number again in the location here, preferably a 9 to 12 digit lunch ID number with no letters in it. Select the gender that you are from this list. Notice that there's an other, and there's also a prefer not to answer if you wish. And then which of the following best represents your racial or ethnic heritage. And there are a number of selections here that hopefully will fit you. There's also mixed and other at the bottom, so you can select the one that you feel is most appropriate for you. I'm going to just put in a random number for myself as a student ID. I'm male, I'm white, and I'm going to click the double arrow at the bottom right, and it'll take me to the next page. So the first thing is just to confirm that you're completing this pre-survey before a STEM camp or activity. And the answer is yes, that's what you're doing. And you happen to be at this time in one of these events. I think you're in the hydroponics camp with Greg Goins. Other people watching this video might be one of these other possibilities. So I'm going to click on hydroponics for this case. And I'm going to do this as if I were an 8th grader, and then double click the arrow so you get to pick the grade you're in. So the next set of questions, and there are quite a few questions on this page. If you're doing it on a cell phone, it's coming up sort of question by question. So they're gonna ask you questions about math, science, engineering and technology, and 21st century learning, and a little bit about your future. And so the questions will be like, math has been my worst subject, and you get to pick the one that makes sense to you. So please go through those, read those words, and select your answers. I'll give you about, 5 to 7 minutes to complete this page, and then we'll come back after that. So I'm going to go through and just click on all the different answers. The STEM leader or director should pause the video at this time and then come back and restart the video after the students have completed this section of the pre-survey. It'll be about 5 to 7 minutes. So now, once you've completed this section, you'll see that near the bottom you actually were reading about your future, the kinds of jobs you might have in physics, environmental work, biology or zoology, veterinary work, mathematics, medicine, earth science, computer science, medicine or medical science, chemistry, energy, and engineering. And then it has a question about yourself. How do you expect you'll do this year in your English language class, your math class, your science class, and it gives you 3 possible answers, and whether you plan to go to college, yes, no, or you're not sure. So depending on the answer to this last question, it'll change the survey that you do going forward, but it shouldn't take you but a couple, 3 more minutes to complete this entire survey after this point. So I'm going to go through and do that myself while you are doing it on your tablets. And when you're all done clicking all the various answers or entering information, it says thank you for taking the survey, and this is the end. When you're all done, we'll move forward. So I submitted the last double arrow, and it says thank you for taking the time to do the survey. That should have taken approximately 15 minutes for you to complete. So now we've completed the pre-surveys, and we'll be coming back at the end of your camp or STEM activity and doing a post-survey, which is a very similar set of questions to the ones you just answered. The last step, as I mentioned earlier, is to have you go home, speak to your parent or guardian about this research that I'm asking you to help me with. It's not very difficult to do. I'm just trying to measure whether you like STEM or not, and how much this particular camp or activity affects your interest in STEM. And then bring up the online survey. So I'm going to click the back button on my computer now, so you can see when I go back, it brings you at the very top. It says EMERGEinSTEM Parent Consent Form. So this is the similar form to the Assent form, but it's for your parents. Bring this up on your computer at home while sitting with your parent or guardian. Have them read this if they wish, or you can explain to them what's going on. And then the statement of consent is here from the parent. There's also a question about whether or not we can take pictures or use pictures from your STEM activity and put them on a website, our EMERGEinSTEM website. Put your student name in here. Again, place your student ID number in here, and then have your parent or guardian's name typed in at the very last, and then hit the enter button once again. And that will enter the data for that survey. And that's it. If you can do all that online, it'll be the easiest possible way. If you don't have access to an online cell phone or computer or tablet with your parent or guardian, then please ask your STEM leader or director for a printed copy of this consent form. And you should be able to have that filled out in paper and then bring it back to the STEM leader or director, and they'll get it to me so that I can put it in my records to show that you've filled out the consent form. And that's it. I appreciate your help a lot. This research just can't be done without having some input from you through these surveys. So thank you very much, and I'll see you near the end of your STEM activity or STEM camp to finish out the post surveys. Thank you. Bye.